Yo, what's good, boys? So today we will be going over exactly how you can hit your first 10 to 20K using content, all right? So look, to your offer, say your offer is 1 to 2K, which is one for lower tiers in terms of if you're selling high ticket, right? So you need to get 10 people, right? Minimum 10 people into this, okay? And, say, your close rate is around 30 something percent, then boom, you need to get 30 qualified meetings in there, which is around 50 meetings, all right? Because, some show, some may not show, stuff like that. And now look, how do we get those meetings? Well, we need to get those meetings using this content system that I'm going to fucking break down in this entire video. So look, number one, you need to be focusing on this, all right? Number one, firstly, we need to explain why paid ads is not good, all right? If you want to get people into your offer. Number one, if you keep running money on paid ads, eventually, when the paid ads stop, the lead flow stops, okay? All right, unless you have a big personal brand that you've already built, from years ago, then it's almost impossible to sustain your business if you, stop running ads and stop paying money to Facebook or, TikTok, or wherever you're trying to funnel towards, right? So look, do you know why organic is so good nowadays? It's because the content you post stays there forever. Some reel that you might post, right, will, might hit 1 million views in the first month. And then maybe a few months later down the line, it hits 10 million views because, the algorithm changes and boom, you've instantly 10x'd your fucking impressions and your conversions by what? By sheer luck, by Instagram, all right, or, these social media platforms. But why? It's because organic content is king nowadays. Because number one, think about it like this. Right, if a video does well on organic, you don't think that it will do well on paid? Seriously? Right? So look, you need to be focusing on organic before you can go all in on paid. All right? So number one this is why organic is important. Secondly, the reason why you should be posting organic is because the more you post, the more the algorithm will actually reward you. I'm being serious. I'm genuinely being dead ass. If you start posting content, you just post every single day for months and months straight, you're getting momentum, and that momentum will lead you to getting more viral, getting more views, getting more consistent follower base, getting your brand, your image more recognized out there. And that undeniably is going to build that foundation for you for when you do want to start paid ads and stuff like that. It helps people kind of, oh, that's X, that's Y. You're recognizable people, Now people are more, firstly, trust you more. And secondly, you're not going to be one of those guys who only gets recognized on paid ads, which is so bad for your reputation. To get this amount of meetings, what you need is a content system, all right? You need a content system so you can get followers. I don't care what people say. Followers are important, all right? Oh, people say, oh, but conversions are more important than followers. Okay, look. If you had 200 followers and a guy had 200,000 followers, who's going to trust you more, right? Obviously, the guy with 200,000 followers. So look, followers is important, impressions is important, and targeting is important. Firstly, your content should be optimized purely for these three things. The fit equation, all right? I just made that shit out of my ass, all right? But look, you need to make content that adheres to this formula, all right? Otherwise, there's no point in you posting content. All right. So look, you need to be posting quality content. All right. Quality content that, number one, spikes an emotion. All right. Number two is relatable. And number three actually gets people to follow for more. Right. Because then people are going to keep coming to you for more of that same kind of content, which is what you need. Secondly is impressions. All right. You need to be utilizing, firstly, your hook. All right. Everyone knows this. Hook. Secondly, music. All right. Thirdly, your editing. Your editing has to be on par. All right, genuinely. You have to, how to get good at editing? Look at all the, trending videos out there that have good editing, and then you just copy that shit to a T, right? It may take you a couple hours to figure it out. Once you just sit down and understand this, you're going to be proficient at this, and this is going to be a skill that's going to pay dividends for the future. T, targeting. How do I target the right people? And this is literally as simple as just sitting down in your ideal customer profile's shoes and genuinely just understanding, number one, what are the pains? Number two, all right, let me write this down for you. Pain, P. All right, number two is the story, S. All right, you need to think about, what's this general story that relates to them? Maybe it's what they've experienced in high school. Maybe it's what they experienced during work, or, the kind of maybe business model that they've been trying so hard at. What are the problems that occurred during that? You need to relate to these things. All right. That's what's going to get people to actually, number one, care about who you are, right? Because you are just like them. All right. That's how you want to come across. And number two, just overall building that trust, I actually like this guy. This guy understands me. All right. And number three is literally just what you want, what they want out of life. What are the desires, right? Desires. And once you have these covered, right, you understand, okay, this is my ICP. All right, this is what my ideal client, right? This is who they are as an individual. And now we can understand topic, right? What kind of topics resonate with them? Now I have this whole profile analysis I've done for my ICP. What's the topic, or what topics should I talk about that, attracts them and makes them like me and want to follow me and tune into what I have to say, right? So look, it has to be a right topic. Secondly, it's delivery of that topic. Delivery. It has to deliver and just hit at the right spot, all right? And you need to do this by just being authentic. And being authentic, number one, and also number two, authentic and articulation. All right, you need to be good at articulation, all right? Because if you're not a good speaker, if you don't know how to project your ideas in a way that people can easily understand, then no one's going to follow you. Even though your backstory is so relatable or whatever, you need to have good speaking skills, all right? And doing this, I'm still learning myself, but you need to do this by just practicing, all right? Getting good at it, all right? Sitting down, recording a maybe voice memo of yourself talking, re-listening to it, and critiquing yourself to where you could have done better. And then you record your next voice memo, and then your next, and then your next, and then you naturally get better as time goes on. You know what a good speaker is, and you know what a bad speaker is. If you know what a good speaker or a bad speaker is, then you can just improve on that naturally, because you already have that good sense of judgment over what a good speaker sounds like. So you need to use that as a strength for you to, when you're posting content, so you can just dial in on that. So look, these things, once you have this dialed in, this is literally easy. It's so easy. All right, just dial in on this. All right, understand that, and just post. How many times a day, you may ask? Firstly, start as one a day. All right, you need to build that consistency up. All right, you need to just get good at that basics. And number two, just start posting more. All right, 2-3 times a day. All right, that's your baseline when you're posting. When you fully warmed up and got comfortable with the fact of you posting content. And two, this is stage 3, right? Start 5+, right? 5+ to 10. And most of you guys are going to say, oh, 10 is too much. Okay, cool. Listen to yourself. See where that takes you. All right. But look, volume is key. Quality volume is key. And that will actually get you, firstly, the amount of impressions you need, because it's almost impossible to not go viral within, the next few weeks if you just focus on what I'm telling you right now. And then, look, once you have that, once you have millions of views, you likely get thousands of followers. Now you got thousands of followers. What you should be doing is what? Posting story sequences, funneling people into your DMs. Then maybe having your setter in your DMs set appointments for you to close. And now that's a whole formula. Do you see how I'm structuring this whole thing? Does it make sense now? So look, watch this whole video again. Obviously, before you post content, I need to include this beforehand, is you need to firstly look at what your competitors are posting, right? Study how they post and almost don't copy, right? Because copying is just stupid, right? Just brain dead activity. Just sit down and firstly, first step is copying, but second step is changing that in your own way, all right? Putting into your own words, making it unique, all right? Something that people haven't seen before, because you are a unique person, all right? So once you have your own style, boom, you start posting, and then you get your followers and you get your lead flow in via story sequences, and boom, you have money on your table. It's that easy, all right? Take action on this, and I guarantee you'll actually win. Peace.